The old ex-girlfriend.
Jodie Foster.
Jane Foster.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Let's Talk. I'm John and this is Matt, and we just got back from the theater seeing Thor Love and Thunder. But before we dive into our review of that, if you're a fan of movie reviews, 4K Blu-ray reviews, TV reviews, and some video game reviews, we do them all here on this channel. Nothing helps out the channel more than by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Second Thor movie in a row was directed by Taika Waititi, and it stars Chris Hemsworth as Thor, Taika Waititi as Korg, and also Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie. So all the big characters from Thor Ragnarok return, and also returning from the first two Thor movies, Natalie Portman as Jane.
If it's color we need, let's bring the rainbow.
Bring the rainbow, is that a catchphrase or something?
And that's really where our story takes off. But before we dive into what I think of this, Matt, what did you think of Thor Love and Thunder?
Well, I think Natalie Portman stole the show. I loved her in this movie. I thought she was fantastic. A big redemption from Star Wars. She wasn't bad in Star Wars. So I'll take that one back. But again, I thought she was great. But, you know, we've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. Mainly in the Star Wars stuff, we've said this, but also with the Marvel stuff, because I don't know how many Marvel videos we've put out at this point. But the issue we have here is we have such a blind spot because we didn't read the comics as a kid. I think this movie really had a lot of nods and references to the comics, and I think a lot of the stuff kind of went over our head. I enjoyed the movie still. It was still a great movie. I love Thor. He's the strongest Avenger. And, you know, it was a good movie overall, and Natalie Portman, again, stole the show. I really liked her the Mighty Thor, I guess, that was the credited name, not Lady Thor. And I thought she was great. I enjoyed the movie. Christian Bale, he was awesome. I think he acted very well. His character was okay. You know, it wasn't Thanos or something like that on that scale. But, you know, this isn't an Endgame type movie. This is a standalone Thor movie.
Yeah, well, this is the 29th MCU movie, and this is the 4th Thor movie. So me and Thor have had a very love-hate relationship. I think Thor The Dark World is actually the worst MCU movie, and I think Thor Ragnarok is the best MCU movie. So my hopes were really high for this movie. I couldn't wait to see it, and I was pretty happy overall. I think everyone acted well. I love Tessa Thompson. She is great as Valkyrie, and Christian Bale was awesome as the, what do they call him? The God Butcher?
The God Butcher, yeah.
Yeah, he was great. I thought that he had a really nice arc. I thought his character was well acted, but I think it suffers from what we've seen in a lot of MCU movies where the villain is, you know, it's just kind of like a one and done kind of deal where it's like they're shoehorned in there, but you kind of could have took them out. I didn't see anything different. I think this is another problematic MCU villain. And again, like Matt said, me and Matt both do not read the comics. So we only can go by what we see in this. Like, I never even heard.
Come on. What do you guys do? You guys are crazy. You're ruining the videos. Ah! Dexter. No.
Oh, my buddy.
Come on, buddy.
Oh, my God.
Dex, who's here? Who's outside right now?
Oh.
Doesn't matter, right? Is Uncle John's down here?
But the villain was pretty good overall. It just felt like another toss-away villain, and that's a shame, but it's very well acted. Everyone played their parts really well. But, you know, it just kind of still felt like a second-tier MCU movie. Kind of like...
So, you know, the problem is, after Endgame put the bar all the way up here, nothing has topped that. I mean, the Spider-Man movies was the only thing that came close. You know, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, The Eternals, Shang-Chi, Black Widow. You know, they're not terrible movies, but Endgame just set that bar way too high. You know, it's still an MCU movie, it's still a Marvel movie, but we're never going to get back to that, I don't think.
No.
And as hard as they try, I don't know what we're working up to yet. You know, it's still very early, but it's just, I think that's the issue we're having, and we're going into these movies expecting something crazy like that, but when you've already done that, what can you do next? So I think
exactly. You
that's just kind of where we're at.
Yeah, like this still had that, you know, Taika Waititi feel to it where it really felt like his kind of movie. It's still very lighthearted and it was very funny. This is more like a comedy, which is nice that the MCU gets guys like Taika Waititi and, you know, Sam Raimi with the Multiverse of Madness to at least try and separate them from the others.
Chris Hemsworth as Thor is just amazing.
Oh, perfect.
He's perfectly casted. I love him on the screen. He's the best. Thor is one of my favorites. He's just anytime he's on the screen, it's just a joy.
Now there's this might be like a minor spoiler, but like it was one of the most disappointing things to me was I was excited because as we left off with the Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor, they were all together. I thought we were going to get more of them in this film. Like, I thought we were going to get more of the Guardians, but they were in and out pretty fast.
Yeah, Act 1 and done.
Yeah, and even the beginning of Act 1, then we sent Thor on his own adventure and made it more of, like, a solo Thor movie, which is what it should be. It's the sequel to Thor Ragnarok. It really feels like a sequel to Thor Ragnarok. It just didn't feel like the stakes were as big, even though they were trying to create big stakes.
Right, yeah.
So I was a little let down at the end. The emotional arc should have hit me harder than it did. So overall, I'm going to say that I was really happy because I had a good time. I know...
Great soundtrack.
Oh, yeah. All Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, a lot of GNR.
Yeah. So, I think you'll still have a good time in the movies because we saw it in Atmos.
Yeah, Dolby Atmos, Dolby Theater.
Yeah.
Sounded great.
Yeah, it was definitely fun. It was beautiful to look at. It's got, like, I guess, he's, like, a big fan of, like, that 80s kind of tone, like, that we were into. And it felt like that. Like, if this was made in the 80s, it would feel like an 80s movie. And...
It's more in the poster and the credits and the font and stuff was more 80s oriented. The movie itself, not so much. It still felt like a Marvel movie.
You're right. I'm off on that. It definitely still feels... the credits, though, and that big font kind of reminded me of that Far Cry 3 spin-off that they had. What was that called?
Blood Dragon.
Blood Dragon. Like, it kind of felt like that, where they were kind of, like, still paying homage, but, like, still keeping it modern.
Well, that was a complete Terminator ripoff if you actually played it.
Yeah, I did, and it's fun.
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah, but, this isn't nothing like that. I'm just saying, it did kind of have, like, a good visual flair to it.
Yeah, I mean, the goats were hysterical.
Oh, yeah, every time they screamed. I don't know who's doing the screaming, but that is hysterical.
I've really been goats.
Yeah.
Because they do scream.
Do they?
Yeah.
I don't know nothing about goats, so...
Well, yeah.
Well, now I know about goats. But, yeah, overall, I'm going to probably have to give this movie a 7.5 out of 10. It didn't hit the high bar that Thor Ragnarok hit for me, but it's still fun. This is one I'll definitely go back to, and it's nowhere near the bottom of the barrels with your Dark Worlds or Iron Man 2s, for me at least. Matt enjoys all of them.
I enjoy them all, but also, when I say I enjoy them all of them up to Endgame, and then after Endgame is where it starts to get a little rocky for me. I actually still haven't even seen the Eternals, and I'm not in a rush to. But again, Ragnarok is only a couple movies before Endgame.
It leads directly in.
Right, yeah, so that was to the lead up. So that's, we're gearing up for Endgame again. So that's when the Avengers were still alive. Well, most of the Avengers were still alive. It's just Endgame kind of ruined it almost,
That and, hear me out on this. I don't want to upset anyone, but the Disney Plus shows, like, it's too much. I feel like I'm getting overloaded with MCU stuff. Like, I'm enjoying most of them, but it's just like...
Well, there's people out there who they don't watch movies at all, but they'll watch all the Marvel stuff, and they gobble this stuff up and then it's gone. So there's really... It's not too much content, it's just too much content for us, maybe.
That's true. Like, I really do feel like a dick sometimes kind of complaining about that, because when I was 10 years old, I couldn't have imagined this.
Yeah, no, I definitely don't complain about it. When I get to it, I get to it. But, I'm going to probably echo John with the 7, or would you say 7 now? I'm going to say 7. It's a middle of the pack one, it's not the greatest, it's not the worst. It's definitely worth watching. Go out to the theaters, go check it out. Now, I was because this was like the first showing we saw on Friday, and I was expecting some more, because when you go to a Marvel movie, it's an event, and this one didn't seem too much like an event. Like, there was no pop in the theater, there was no big scenes like that.
No, even like compared to the Multiverse of Madness, it didn't even have that same feeling. Like, there was excitement in the air for that, and I think that people were expecting to see.
And I don't know why, because I mean, Thor, he's one of the Avengers. He's one of the main 4 Avengers. So yeah, I'm gonna go middle of the pack, 7 out of 10. Visually great. Go check it out in Atmos. Definitely check it out in theaters. It's an MCU movie. You can't go wrong.
No, yeah, you'll have a good time.
But don't expect Endgame.
Exactly, yeah. You'll have fun. Definitely check it out. It's a recommendation from us, even if it's not the highest of recommendations. Don't go into this expecting Endgame is basically what we can tell you. But go into it open mind. You'll have a lot of fun. It's nothing more fun than a summer movie, walking into a theater with some ice cold soda pop and popcorn. That's it for us, guys. We're going to check out here. Nothing helps us out more than by sharing, and subscribing, and telling all your friends.